and welcome to Tell Your Dog We Said Hi, episode 2. We are so excited to be back with all of you, and we've been really encouraged by the feedback we've gotten from the first episode. So thank you all for listening in, and I hope that you'll enjoy this episode. As always, welcome my co-hosts, Karen Barlow and Jen Russell. We have a very timely discussion today, don't we, ladies?
Yes.
Yes, we are talking all about preparing, yes, for Halloween. I was wondering what you were doing, Jen.
Bring it. I know, right? Watch your eyes.
Up here.
Yes,
Right
Halloween.
up here. Yes.
Up here, up here. No, that was perfect. So perfect. Yeah, preparing our dogs for Halloween. It is just around the corner. We are recording this on October 22nd. So we have about a week and a half until the big night. And there's a lot that can go on for Halloween. It's fun. It's fun for kids. It's fun for adults. But is it fun for our dogs? And that's what we really want to kind of break down here for everybody and give you some actionable things you can start to do to make sure that your dogs have a happy, low stress, and safe Halloween. I am going to hand it over to Jen, if you're okay with that. And I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about what it's like having Halloween and trick or treat in a neighborhood, because neither Karen nor myself live in a neighborhood. So what is it like for you with a house full of dogs?
Well, it's our neighborhood is quite large, and we've been here since 1999. Yeah, Prince party. But so I mean, when we were first here, it was pretty small at the time, but then like as the years went by, I mean, people would come with vans of kids and they would open the doors and kids would just spill out in costumes. I mean, it was busy. I think post-COVID, it's probably a little bit more manageable. And everybody seems to know where the large chocolate bars are and the big cake bars are. They note those houses. And I had to hold my husband back from going and visiting last year because he was like, I want to go. But for dogs, I think, over the years, we've had many different types of dogs, but I can tell you that we've always had barkers. So I think that in order to stave off that behavior and encourage that behavior and reinforce that behavior, and also without stressing the dogs out, because that barking was just, I mean, initiated by the doorbell, by hearing people, and then coming to the door and these freakishly scary outfits are on, and even kids in normal costumes like a princess or something like that. I mean, it's a warped sense of, what is happening? Who are you and what are you? So instead of just giving them, any free rein in the house, it was, we would put the gate across by the kitchen area. So they have this very large area kitchen and family room. We close the doors, the front door, and we leave all the lights on in the house. But we also put like the TV on or music so that, again, they're not hearing the constant chaos that's outside. So it's cars, trucks. The police will come around with sirens. They hear people. Oh yeah, it's like, I'm telling you, it's like a to-do, which is cool. But, I mean, there's just so much chaos outside. The dogs are like, holy Hannah, what's going on out there? Right. So, yeah, we would be outside. We would park ourselves outside. So even now, I do the same thing. Dave and I will sit outside. We're in the driveway so that they get absolutely a quarter of the way up our driveway. And our driveway is huge. They don't even make it to our porch.
That's right.
So it's like, here's where you need to be and go up that way. And then that way they're just collecting and going and we're chatting. And it's far enough away from the door, though, that, we're keeping those conversations and little screeches and little things, all that movement to a lesser degree. And so inside, the dogs are typically in, like I said, the kitchen and the family room area, TV or music on, gate across for second point of safety so they can't get to the door. And doors closed and lights are on. So it seems like a normal evening and we just have exited the house for a while. And they, in the past, when they were younger, we would give them enrichment things to do. So a Kong, a licky mat type of thing, snuffle mat, or just a bone, a nice marrow bone when they were younger and their bellies could handle things like that.
Right.
They were in 3 separate parts of the family room on the rug and didn't even look up when we came back in. So we knew what worked for them at that time. Now it's more just about drowning things out, so that there is no barking, but we're not doing marrow bones and things like that because their tummies can't handle that right now. So we have to really just kind of keep the noise at bay.
We're being really proactive with that though. No, we've got no doorbell ringing. We've got, no one even coming up to the house. So we're not even hearing, we're hearing muffled screeches and
Right.
children and whatnot and conversations. I mean,
and I'm not, I dress up for school, so, but I'm not wearing anything that would freak my dogs out. I don't think, even when they were younger, I think the craziest thing I was Where's Waldo?
Right.
With the glasses on, but I mean, they've seen me in glasses and a hat.
Right.
But if I were to be dressing up, or if Dave were to be dressing up, or even the kids, they really didn't interact with the dogs fully in garb. So,
we're gonna have to touch on that too, because a lot of people don't quite understand the impact that costumes can have on dogs and how they see
I mean, even just on a regular day, a hat changes the look of somebody. So can you imagine you're wearing a hat and a mask, and I mean, hello, you're just completely warping your typical look. And so, but we don't really dress up crazy anymore. And the kids never really did either. But again, anything can be aversive, so, or scary. You just don't know until, it happens. So we just would pretty much keep them in here and dress and things like that on the other side of the gate and just go outside. And any pictures and stuff pretty much happened outside. So honestly, we pretty much kick ourselves out of the house for Halloween evening.
Smart.
And,
Smart.
I think, we can touch upon bringing the candy and other things in, and
we're going to touch on that. Yep.
But I mean, as far as like the general to do, that was pretty much what we have done consistently through the years. And our girls are older, but we still have young families here, so we leave the light on until our candy is gone, and then we unplug everything. And they're very respectful around here. Once the lights are off, they stop ringing the bell and stuff. And our doorbell is actually disconnected on the inside.
Oh, good.
We have a Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
And the only time they can hear it is if the front door's open.
Yep.
But they can't hear it on the inside. So we don't even know unless somebody is like literally banging on the door. So just again, to keep them in here. And for, because Murphy's already torn 2 ACLs. I mean, the last time the doorbell did that, that's what happened. So we keep the gate across so that there's no scampering to the door and barking at the door. They might just kind of be like, what was that? And again, the TV's up, or I'm talking, or just trying to keep their redirect them if needed. But that's life in a neighborhood on a Halloween night.
Karen, do you get any trick-or-treaters where you are?
No, I can't tell you the last time. Probably the last time I got trick-or-treaters was my niece and nephews.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, used to go out and buy candy and then nobody showed up. So stop buying candy.
Yeah. Living on a main road, we don't get them either, but we do, I'll do the universal, the front porch light is turned off, because we are gone. And so, cause we are off on a neighborhood, to a neighborhood with my young kids, and we are trick-or-treating. So similar, kids aren't around, but everyone is inside, doors locked, light is off. Usually we've got the Great British Baking Show on, or something calm like that. And then they've got their frozen marrow bones or their licky mats, and they are just enjoying a quiet evening at home while we're enjoying the rowdiness of festivities. But costumes are one of those things that I think, so a topic that came up over the years with just me kind of listening and hearing about clients and their experiences with dogs with Halloween Halloween is fun. It's a time to be spooky. It's a time to be scary. It's a time to startle people. But
Hmm.
when we're in that frame of mind, we can try to include our pets in that. And so not necessarily adults, but the kids might go around and spook, each other or try and startle each other. And so then they go and they do the same to the dog. And that's really scary, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and we have costumes that change our shape, that hide our face, that, extend out our appendages, all of these things that glow, that twinkle or whatnot, strobe lights. There's all
Strobe
sorts of
lights, I was
things,
gonna say.
Strobe lights,
right?
yeah.
I mean, all of these things can be really upsetting to our dogs. And so kind of Jen, on your topic, you just leave. Just it's
Yeah.
not something that our dogs have to be around. So why would we do that? Right?
I doubt they would enjoy it.
It's confusing, I think.
Yes.
Why are the humans all of a sudden looking like this? Now, if you have if someone's dressing up as a football player and they're walking around in, their jersey, and oh my gosh, I'm just showing how lack of sports I am. But in their
The
I was gonna call
pads.
their outfit, their uniform. Or a cheerleader or a witch that's just wearing a black dress or something. That's one thing. But my son, who is now 13, one year he went as something called the rake, which, for lack of a better term, it was a skin tight top of the forehead all the way down to the feet, this black suit that had a horrible skull kind of printing on his face. And then he had these long, like sword-like fingernails. Oh, but it scared me. I mean, that's just not something that would sit right with. He didn't wear the mask around. He just wore the bodysuit when he was inside. But that's something that could really spook our
Sure.
dogs or our cats, any pets. But then, if you get a bunch of kids, like where we go to a house and all the kids are right there, all getting ready before they go out, then you can have the kids, running around, and then they scare the dog or corner the dog, and not even in an ill-mannered way or because they're trying to scare. It could just be they want to pet the dog, but they look scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so we just want to put our dogs, our pets away so that we aren't putting them in those situations. I think is really important. And
Yeah.
then Karen, you touched on something, just the decorations too, right?
Yes.
What you're seeing at Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah. 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 I had a class go there, and they had all the Halloween stuff out, and the dogs did not want to go down that aisle to start. You had to really, we started from afar and then just kind of walked up. Some walked up to them, others just wouldn't. And then when they animated them, all bets were off.
Yeah.
So
They're meant to startle and scare us. So of course they're going to do that to the animals, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay, so we talked about trick or treat and kind of keeping the dogs inside. Let's talk a little bit more about maybe preparing though in general. So we've got candy to deal with. We've got, well, my dog needs to go out and go to the bathroom to deal with as well. We've got after the fact, when trick or treat is over, my dog needs to probably go out one more time. All of those things. I want to hand it over to one of you who wants to touch on some tips for candy, because that's one that I think a lot of people don't think about until their dog eats a bar of chocolate and then they're calling the vet. So what are some management tips for candy?
Well, not that I hand it out, but anytime I have chocolate, it's up in a cabinet. I mean, better safe than sorry. So,
Yep.
And then out of sight, out of mind for me.
Well played.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I would say when everyone comes back from Halloween from Trick or Treat, and they've got, their bags full and they want to sort through the candy. Dog does not get to come out and see
No.
what goodies are in that bag yet until everything has been sorted, thrown away, put away, exchanged,
Yep.
and then put away, out of sight, out of mind, in that drawer or cabinet. Yep.
Or you're exchanging on the other side of the gate, or your dog is in a dog safe room, a crate, or just on a different floor. Even we're only doing it here. You can only do it at the table, and nobody is underfoot, so that you drop it on the floor and you're not chasing somebody across the room. There's a difference between large size and kitty size chocolate bars. There's difference between milk, dark, and white. And the effects that they can have on their body. And so the emergencies are more for, those higher, dark chocolate bars. And if you have a king size or something, like I said, some of the people in our neighborhood like to give out, your dog gets a Hershey bar like that they're going to not feel well. They're going to get sick. But you want to try to limit that to just begin with. You don't, even gummy candies and things like that, that's not safe. That sugar is going to make them sick. And besides the fact it's going to make everybody sick, if you're eating too much, but
that's a different show.
That's a whole different, I know, it's like, my gosh. But like lollipops, you've got, ingestion with a choking hazard. It's not just
bubble gum.
Oh gosh, gum, and you don't know if half that stuff has xylitol in it because it's not packaged with the ingredients on it. You're buying a huge bag and it's deliverable in piece by piece. So you have no idea. So it's just best to just not. And here's the thing, I think people get comfortable, and my dogs were never real big on counter surfing. Now my two littles, they can counter surf if they want to. They can get up on a chair and get up somehow. But Murphy was never really a counter surfer until he was, and he got at a chicken one time.
Right.
So, here's the thing. If you have, oh, my dog's older, he doesn't go near the counter until he does. So don't even give the opportunity.
Exactly.
So that you're not, be proactive, please. Just be proactive, because being reactive, it really causes a lot of stress down the line. And you don't want it to be, remember last Halloween when that happened? You just don't let it happen.
Yep.
And look up the poison control number first and have it ready.
That's a really good idea, having that at the ready for those. I mean, and this is about Halloween, but we could talk about holidays in general, because we're getting into the season where, we're going to have festivities and lots of food. And there's, there are definitely risks. So having those plans in place is really, really important. Anything around candy and just feeling like you've got it under lock and key is going to be important. Cleaning everything up, before you let the dogs or, other pets even back into the room is going to be really important. I've got a dog here that is very, she's running at me.
You got see a big tail.
Little duster.
Yes, she's like, Mom, are you talking about food? But and then when it comes to timing of walking our dogs, especially in a neighborhood, I had a client today who was talking about walking her lab and how he wouldn't go near another person's house because there was an animatronic thing in his yard that jumped out. It meant to startle you, and her grandson wouldn't go near the house either. And I said, that's spooky. I wouldn't go near that either if I didn't know what it was, and it would certainly startle me. And so daylight hours walking is best. If you have a fenced in yard, maybe consider not walking your dog and just using your fenced in yard for potty breaks that day. I would avoid walking your dog at night if it's possible, because we've got loud music, bonfires going, dropped candy. Can we talk about dropped candy as well? Right. We've got, all those things that are happening as well at houses, and blinking lights. And it is a stimulus overload. that can really be traumatic for dogs. And even if you don't think your dog is traumatized by it, there's still going to be a level of stress your dog is trying to work through. I would venture to say the majority of dogs that are taken out that I see on walks through a neighborhood for trick or treat are stressed. And
Yeah.
if you're not skilled in body language, you're not seeing that, but they're just trying to survive the situation and get back.
Yeah.
So, you know, and on that, you know, Jen, you hit on that you and Dave sit outside in your driveway without the dogs. And, you know, if we talk about, again, just the mishap, I want to have my dogs with me all the time too. All three of us do. I know that we do. You've got to find those moments when you're like, this is probably not the best time for you to be out. Because you're going to get that one child that's just dressed a little odd that rushes up to your dog to say hi to them. Or someone who's just in the spirit of the holiday and they just boop, you know, and they do that little and it startles your dog, and there's just no point to putting our dogs through, in my opinion.
Do you remember the movie E.T.?
Yes.
Do you remember when he's out in his little ghost costume and he's just looking through and he's like, I kind of that just made me think of like what a dog must be like. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like what if he was freaking out under his little costume and he was like, oh my God. And you know, he's like, what is that? And it just makes me think of what a dog would look at, you know, all of these things, besides the fact that it's dark. And so you've got all this noise, you've got more traffic. You've got people, yes, hands coming at you, possible things on the ground. But here's another thing too. We have to also consider the fact that as tight as your harness or collar might be, you have a very high risk of your dog backing out of something and running off. This is another holiday that is big on dogs being lost. So check your fence, check all your gear. And I recommend to you, Jamie, when you're saying like letting them out at night, put them on leash and walk them, even if you have a fence.
Just
I was going to say that also.
It's one time. Do it like, you know, the 4th of July, we do it, you know, but nights like this, you know, there's a lot going on. And you also don't know if there's people kind of scaling, you know, the fences and in a neighborhood, there's kids weaving in and out of yards.
When you guys were growing up, did you have mischief night? I don't know if they still do that, but that was one thing I was thinking about too, but I'm not sure if that's this generation does.
I don't know if they do it.
I never threw eggs.
Or hedge apples.
I literally threw one egg in my life and my mom found out and I got grounded. So there's that. I was like, see what happens when you try to be bad. But yes, we did. So, but even so the night before is another consideration too, of just, you know, kind of keeping an eye on things, especially if you're in a neighborhood, or if you're in close proximity to neighbors, even again, just for the fun of it. You know, you just have to kind of be prepared. So there's so much to think about that, honestly, you know, you think you're ready and then you're like, I wasn't prepped for that. So, you know, just as much information as you can have and be proactive and ready.
Even walking the neighborhoods during the day, like your client said, with those big balloons up and everything. I mean,
on a swivel.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it during the day when you're walking, you're paying more attention to your dog too. At night when it's trick or treat, you're paying attention to the trick or treaters, especially as a parent and you're taking your child out. You're less focused on your dog. Rightfully so. There's traffic and other things, but then that's another reason to potentially just leave your dog at home so that you don't have to worry about that and you can focus all of your attention on your kids, because when we're doing that, we aren't paying attention to the emotional state, the needs, or what our dog is necessarily chewing on, or if they are really upset and actually backing out of their harness or something. So there's just so much that goes into it, and it's worth considering, and it's worth really thinking about, because we want our dogs to be with us. And I think that that's a really wonderful thing to want, but you have to sit down and think about if your dog would want that. Does your dog want to be in this in this environment right now. And that's not just for Halloween, that's for all sorts of things. Can we talk about dogs in costumes real quick?
I was just-
How you
I was
guys
just-
feel about that?
I was just
Some
thinking
dogs
that
I think like it, and then I'm not getting anything on. I can barely get a coat on my dogs in the winter, so Halloween costume is just not happening. You
Yeah.
know, but you see some that actually look like they enjoy it. I know mine wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we've had little costumes on them, and honestly, mine are really good for sitting for pictures.
Mhm.
They kind of know, they almost line up. And you know, they don't, I don't want to say that they don't mind, because I really truly
Don't
don't
know.
fully know. They
Mhm.
haven't said anything, but they appease me. They were like,
Mhm.
Mom wants a
Yeah.
picture. Like, they're like my kids. They're like, just take
Yeah.
a picture.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to put them into a costume and take them out, because here's the thing. There's social media, there's texting, there's so many ways I can share the cuteness of
Yeah.
my dog and my puppy
Mhm.
in their really cute costume that I spent however much for, and they're going to wear one time.
Yeah.
For 1
But
minute.
yeah, for exactly 1 minute before yeah. And you know, God forbid I turn around and the hat's torn apart or something, you know, but
Yeah.
it's there's a thing, there's a limit. And so I think you have to know your dog, and we're not going to
Mhm.
absolutely tell you whether you can dress up your dog or not. If your dog
Yep.
loves it, by all means. And if he is out there, you know, strutting his
Strutting it.
stuff and he's like, check it out, you know, like, I look like an awesome hot dog in this outfit, then do it. But
Yeah.
you know, you just have to know,
Mhm.
that's the thing, that's you know your dog best. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a time and a place to share your new puppy, and it might
Mhm.
be on a busy night like Halloween in full dress up garb. He's probably going to be like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
But
did they take me?
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I think you hit you know, both of you hit the nail on the head, that it really does depend on the dog.
Mhm.
But and you have to put your feelings aside and really look at your dog.
Yes.
Does your dog
Mhm.
look happy in the costume? Do they look like they're
Usually no.
appeasing you, or do they look like, oh my gosh, this is just the worst thing in the world? And some dogs, again, a lot of dogs that probably are used to wearing sweaters or coats
Mhm.
because of
Mhm.
short coats and needing to wear something in the winter. They may be more acclimated to
Yeah.
having these items on. Headgear is a little different. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
many dogs that love wearing headgear, you know, or something random like a wig on their head. But
Mhm.
you know, I put a lion's mane on Sunny for one picture several years ago, and she's like, "I'll do it for a second." And I said, "Thank you so
And I'm
much.
done.
Yep.
Here's something special for all of your hard work." And you know, I left it at that. Because yeah, it's just not her thing. And you guys know she's the most appeasing, you know,
Yeah.
thing
I
out
can
there.
barely get my boys to wear a bow tie on their collar.
Lady doesn't even like, I put Lady's winter coat on and she's like, oh. And so, but when it's, you know, 10 degrees outside, I need to put something
Mhm.
on her because she's so short coated. But yeah, I think it's just about being honest with yourself about what your dog
Mhm.
likes. I do
It
like the
is.
thought that, you know, if you do it, you're doing it quickly for a picture and then just take it.
Mhm.
And it's in the comfort of
Yeah.
your own home and nothing else is
Yeah.
going on.
Yep.
The other thing to consider though with costumes is when you put a costume on your dog, you are obstructing their ability to use their body to communicate.
Yep.
So we might hide tails, we might hide ears, we might not really see how they are feeling emotionally by looking
Mhm.
at these different pieces of body, you know, body parts, because they're covered
Yeah.
in some of these
Yeah.
costumes. So all things to consider. Again, yeah, we're not your parents. We're not telling you what to do, but just, you know, trying to put little seeds into your brain to think about what's best for, you know,
Yeah.
for your dog or your situation wherever you are.
Mhm. And
Awesome.
how to manage it.
Yeah, management. Oh, it's my favorite thing. Right? Are there any words of wisdom, advice, or imparting thoughts you would like to offer our listeners before we bid adieu?
Better safe than sorry.
Ooh, good one. Good one. I like it.
Yeah, start now. So
Yes,
start
yeah.
thinking now. I mean, it's not the day of kind of
Have a
thing.
plan.
You know, a
Have
lot
a,
of people are like,
get ready.
it's, you know, it's my dog, it's Halloween, you know,
Who
but
cares?
there's a lot more that goes into it than I think. And I think we've touched upon so much that people are probably, their ears are ringing right now going,
Yeah, they're like, oh,
think about that. Oh, didn't think about that. And it's
yeah.
not just for Halloween, it's for a lot of holidays. So just be prepared, know your dog, what any triggers might be, and you know, if you have a dog who is particularly fearful, you know, consider where in the house you have your dog while you are celebrating. You know, if you maybe you have a family member who loves to
Stays with them.
watch your dog, and you know, this chaos is too much, but their house is off the beaten path if they
Yeah.
live, you know, outside
Like
of
mine.
Right.
yeah.
Everyone
Karen,
go
I'm
to
gonna
Karen's house.
give Karen all the dogs. All the dogs go to Karen's.
There you go.
That's what I was leading to, you know.
There
We're
you go.
so
Everyone go to
busy.
Karen's.
But seriously, just be prepared and start now. Start thinking
Yeah,
now.
be proactive.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I think my final thought or piece of advice would be Halloween is not the time to expose your dog to things or socialize your dog, if we're going to use that word that is used so often, because there are too many unpredictable things. So
Especially a young puppy.
especially puppies, people with puppies, this is not the time to take your puppy out and
Mhm.
show the world, or show your puppy the world, because this is not a true representation of what the world is, because that poor
No.
puppy. So
Yeah.
keep
Goodness.
puppy at home, keep young dogs at home, just keep your dog at home, I think.
Yep.
If it's at all possible, because there's just too many unpredictable variables out there that you don't have any control over, and it's just in the air. It's just what the holiday is kind of about, and so
Mhm.
we just have to advocate for our dogs and protect them a little bit more, and be really mindful of the fact that it's a human holiday. It is a human-centric activity that can be scary and confusing and just overstimulating for our little pup.
Mhm.
And not little pup, our
Overstimulating for
four-legged.
me.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't, you know, you come from a second grade Halloween party to trick or
Right.
treat your dog. My eyes are swirling by the end of the night. By 7 o'clock, I'm like, can we shut the lights off? Are we
Right.
done?
We're out of candy, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I could keep it out of Dave's hands, you know, I mean,
Right.
we might actually get rid of the candy a lot faster.
It's my
So.
favorite part of trick or treat is I get to pick out all the Kit Kats and save them for myself. So
We buy the stuff we won't eat.
It's
Yeah,
so
that's a
smart.
smart move.
Yes,
Smart move.
like he used to hate, he would come home with the smaller bags before like the Costco size bags even like really existed, and he would come home with small bags and he'd be like, I swore I bought 2 bags of Reese's peanut butter cups, and I was like, you did. You did.
Yeah.
It's
Thankfully,
gone.
we don't, since we don't have trick-or-treaters, we don't buy it, but it comes home, and so it's just here, and
Yeah.
it's just sometimes the chocolate is tough for me, but
Yeah.
you know. This was a good discussion. Oh, I loved it. And again, so
Yep.
timely. So hopefully we were able to give our listeners and viewers some food for thought.
Yep.
We will be back soon. We're going to figure out when we're going to have our next episode. We're going to try and keep these rolling here a little bit so we don't keep you waiting too long. But if you have questions or topics that you'd like to pose for us, we are always open for that too. So feel free to comment and give us some, or email us and give us some topics that might be of interest to you, or if you have a question or whatnot. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you guys next time, and I'm going to keep doing it. Tell your dog we said hi.
Hi.
Great. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.